Um, it's where, so sometimes I do a remote control, or they could do like a pilot's cockpit, or they could do like a control room, like you see in the films, with the screens and the buttons and everything, whatever they want. And you put all the controls that they feel like they need on there. So they might have like a confidence dial that they can turn up. They might have an emergency stop button. I've quite often put like a slow motion button, or a free, like a pause, or whatever they need on there in those moments when they feel out of control. I did chain and modal operators with her last time. We did the pros and cons of going shopping.
You've done loads.
I know.
Yeah.
There's loads, yes.
What does she respond to?
So she says she likes the grounding and breathing technique. She quite likes the gremlin one. She sends him away when those negative thoughts appear. And like I said, more of the practical ones. So she said she looks at the positive affirmations, and things like, wow, those are the main ones that she talks about, to be honest.
When you did the modal operators, did you leave her with a target to get from one to the next one to the next one?
Yeah, we only did that in the last session, so I haven't seen how she's got on with that yet. And then I actually emailed her mom after the session and said, I've just come up with an idea for the shopping. And I said, why don't you make a shopping list? So the first shop, you just go in and you get one thing, and you know exactly where that thing is in the shop. So whether it's like shower gel in Superdrug or something, you know where it is, you go and get it straight away. The next shop, you get two things where you know where they are. The third shop, you go and have a look for something and choose and see how far down the list you can get. And you can almost like tick it off as you go along. And she said that's a really good idea. So that they were going to try that over the weekend. So I'll ask her tomorrow if they did have a go at that. But I was
also thinking, Jo, about, instead of it being a shop, change it. So make it a garage, make it a nursery centre.
Yeah.
Make it, I don't know, where else could you go and do something like shopping that isn't shopping? A community centre to go and ask a question.
That's a good idea.
A chemist to go and pick up a prescription, or go and pick up a bottle of cough medicine or something. So it's not these big shops like a supermarket, which
bright lights,
threatening. They're smaller shops, and you're not doing the same thing. It's a different thing you're doing.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
I'll mention that to her.
Okay. What does it stem from, do you think?
So apparently when she was younger, she was a selective mute. And then, but I think that was when she was much younger. And I haven't done much digging into that, actually. Maybe I should do a bit more digging into how that all, I don't know. But apparently, she used to go into school absolutely fine. There were like no problems. And then all of a sudden this anxiety's appeared. I don't know, maybe if it's from COVID, but it's just kind of got worse and worse and worse. And then it built up to last year to her not going into school at all, really, for most of the year. I was saying to Ian when we first joined on the call, she's now going in 3 or 4 times a week since September. So she's actually doing really well.
Yeah.
You've been working with her. There's definitely been progress then.
Yeah, so I started working with her during the summer holidays. I think we had about 2 or 3 sessions before school started. So she's really made a lot of progress. But I think I worry with Mom that maybe she's not intentionally, but like almost reminding her of, what she's still not doing, or that there's still always anxiety, when actually they're saying, well, let's have a look how far you have actually come from where you were a couple of months ago. I think Mum's just so worried that that's how it's coming out.
Do you ever do parent sessions or not?
I haven't done a parent session with her. It's not something that I do a lot of, so I feel like, I have done them, but maybe my own confidence isn't there really with
I know I feel exactly the same, but I'm just wondering if even a communication model with Mum
might be a good idea.
I
did say to her, so in those notes it says I kind of addressed it with her. So when I got her in last week at the end of the session, and she was kind of doing her usual, oh yeah, but she's still not doing this. And whenever she get, into the driving range with her friends a couple of times, which, for her, again, I think it's been one she's gone to the driving range with. And I've been saying in the sessions, oh, that's really good. Brilliant. That you've gone out with a friend, and brilliant. And then her mum comes in and she's sort of like, well, yeah, obviously it is good that she's going to the driving range, but she literally just goes there and then comes straight back, and she's not doing anything else. And all of this. So I did say to her, I said, well, me and T have actually done quite a lot of work on using the language of what we want to work towards rather than what we're trying to move away from. And I think it would be really, really useful if, people that are around her can be using that kind of language as well to kind of fit in with what we've done in sessions. And she was like, I think she kind of clicked. She clicked, yeah. And she said, oh, she said, I try to be positive, but, and on all of this. So, yeah, maybe something like the communication model would be useful for her.
And maybe use the same list with her that you use with the daughter. Yeah. So these are the things that you didn't used to do. These are the things you're doing now.
Yeah. And that's
before and after.
Yeah. So
look at how much progress she's made. She's doing really well.
That was something that I had written down to possibly do tomorrow, is like things, because this is the thing, she thinks that she can't do things. So like the getting up and walking out of a lesson, she feels like she can't do that. So I thought about maybe making a list of like her achievements so far, so things that she didn't think that she could do, which she's now doing. So an example is my office is like a store cupboard, basically. It's tiny. And when she first came to see me, she couldn't sit in there because it was too small. She felt trapped. So I found a bigger room to go in. And then the one time there was a meeting going on in the big room, so we had to go in the office, and she was fine. We had the door closed and everything. She was absolutely fine. So it's things like that, and now we go in there every week. So things like that, which she 100% felt she couldn't do in the beginning, but she's now doing. And I think it's just reminding her maybe of things like that to show how.
I wonder whether her initially not going to school was a fear of being judged.
Yeah.
That her anxiety now about leaving the classroom is actually the same.
Yeah. That's what she said. She said that I said, what is it that's holding you back from getting up when you need to? And she said it's thinking what people will be thinking. Where they'll be thinking I'm going. What, are they going to ask me, where are you going?
Yeah. So does it get to the point of where she sits there and then she freezes, so she doesn't want to get up, and then her mind is on that she can't get up? Is there any way that she should sit down in that particular, is it one lesson or is it a particular class or anything, that she can be near that door and she sits down and she knows in a couple of minutes she's going to get up and walk before even any kind of anxiety comes up? So she gets out, walks out, then come back again before the anxiety. So she knows she can physically get up out of that chair and walk out.
Yeah, like do like a practice run.
Yeah, practice.
Yeah, we've not to that extent, but maybe I could. Yeah. So what I've said to her is, don't wait until you get to that point where you're fighting. And so I said, what is the first sign that you're feeling anxious? And she said, when I get hot, my hands go sweaty. So I said, right, as soon as you start to feel warm, when you get up, and that's when you stand up and walk out. And we've even talked about on that remote control having a stand up button, because she said, if I just stand up, she said, well, I'll have to go then, because otherwise if I stand up and sit down, people will be like, what are you doing? So she said, if I can just do that first part of standing up, then I'll be fine. But she said she then starts thinking, oh, well, I'll just hold on a bit longer. Like if there's only 20 minutes left of the lesson, I'll just wait a bit longer. And I actually shared with her, and I don't know if I should have done this or not, but that triangle that Gemma sent in the WhatsApp group with the I'm doing really well, like paid like a boss or something at the top, had running a bit short this month, and I said, like, that second bit down, that's where you need to be using your strategies, or leaving if you need to be, before it gets to that bit at the bottom where you're really struggling. So
I would be tempted in the session with her to have a bit of fun where you agree that you're going to tell her to stand up, and when you tell her to stand up, you want her to reach out for the handle and actually open the door. not leave the room, but just open the door. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you want to be saying it like mid-sentence at the most inconvenient time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And probably it's like 15 or 20 times. Go stand up. Yeah. And she'll get, right, yes, I know what to do now. I just stand up and move. Yeah.
I love that. Make it funny.
Yeah.
I really love that. Yeah, I'm going to try that. I'm going to do that with her tomorrow. So just stand up, put your hand on the door handle.
Because fortunately, it's a small room. She can probably like stand right next to her chair and reach the handle. Yeah.
Wow.
To like march across the room to go and open the door.
Interestingly, it's the first time I'm going into school to see her tomorrow. So I've never been in school tomorrow. I've been in school with her before. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Yes, and ideally then you want to have a desk or chair that's reasonably close to the door. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to march 20 feet across the room to go to the door. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm looking forward to doing that. That'll be good.
It's a bit of fun, isn't it?
That's the thing. And I feel like she maybe needs a bit more of that. She needs a bit more fun and sort of, you know, joking around and making light of things. You know, I think.
Yeah.
Have you done
serious.
the circles of control, the comfort zone with her?
Yes. Which one's that?
So it's not an NLP thing, but you draw a great big circle, yeah.
Yeah.
And then draw a little circle.
Yeah.
Colour in that little circle. Say this is your comfort zone. Everything you do that you're comfortable with happens inside this circle. Everything that happens outside is uncomfortable. And the nearer you get to the outside edges, the more uncomfortable it is. So if you think of walking down the high street naked, how uncomfortable is that going to be? Right at the very far extreme of the circle. Yeah. Think of something that you haven't done yet that's not too uncomfortable, perhaps paddleboarding, perhaps feeding a guinea pig. Yeah. You haven't done it, but you think, yeah, I could do that. Yeah. That goes just outside the little circle in the middle. Yeah. You get a couple of those crosses outside the middle circle, and then you draw a circle around them. Yeah. So now it looks like a rubber ring. Yeah. What you've done, you've just grown your comfort zone. And you want your comfort zone to get bigger and bigger and bigger so that anything and everything you do is comfortable. You want to be good and great and fantastic at everything that you can be. Go and do some stuff. So give me 3 things that you can do in the next week you've not done before that make you a little bit uncomfortable. Not very much, but just stretch you a little bit. Yeah. And give her that as a task.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Works a little bit with your list, doesn't it, of going into the shops and getting different things.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so just pushing it that little bit more each time, like baby steps.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. I think she'll like that.
So let's focus in on these issues then. So let's focus in on this anxiety for getting out of the lesson. We've got the stand-up exercise. What else can we actually do with that? You've done the reframing, you've done modal operators. So getting her to stand up in the room in the session is going to be aversion therapy, effectively, isn't it? Yeah, that's what that is. What about a metaphor? Have you done
Not done one of those for a while, actually.
Yeah. They could be really effective, particularly for something like this.
Okay. Yeah.
What sort of thing? How would you approach that? I'm not sure I've really done much metaphor work.
So that would be, this is what can happen when you don't do what you meant to go and do. Or any other version that you want. Yeah. So being a bloke, I'm thinking army stuff. So I'm thinking you're in the trenches and you have to stand up to fire a weapon, and you know when you fire your weapon that you're going to get fired at. So when you stand up, you don't stand up for long, you get yourself back down again. Yeah. And if you stand up there for long, you're probably going to get hurt. So you don't stand up for very long. Yeah. In the same way, you know if you're going to sit in that seat, that actually you're going to end up being really unhappy. So just get out. Yeah. Yeah, there's all sorts of metaphors you could do around that.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can think of something better than mine.
I'm just thinking about bringing some humor into it, and I don't know why I haven't done this, because this is normally one of my go-tos, but something around changing the submodalities and making it funny. So changing that scenario of being in the classroom. I mean, we could even do a bit before she stands up. So, you know, so her thing is feeling trapped. So I could do something around submodalities of when she starts to get that feeling of being trapped, changing it, making it funny, and then all of a sudden she's like a jack in the box that jumps in the air, or, you know, maybe something like that could work.
You got the Halloween theme and the Guy Fawkes theme you could use, haven't you?
Yeah.
And is it all the students she's worried about them looking at her as she gets up?
It's the looking, and I think the more so of them like either like thinking or asking each other where she's going or what she's doing, okay, or asking her when she comes back.
Yeah, so that's a funny thing. You could think of something and say something different for when they come back, when she comes back.
Yeah. And, you know, we've done the whole, like, you know, what's the worst that could happen? What's the most likely that could happen? Would it still matter in a month? And when we sit and do that, she's really rational, and she's really like, well, yeah, no, you know, I'll just say, well, it's none of your business. And she's actually even done that. She's done that once already. You know, someone asked her and she said, well, not that she'd got up, I think she hadn't been in a lesson or something. And then when she went to the next lesson, they said, where were you? And she just said, oh, it's none of your business. And I said, and did he say anything after that? And she said, no. And I said, and even if he did, would it matter next week? Would it matter? And she's like, no, it wouldn't. So she knows in that moment, she just can't get past it.
With her being judged, I would get her to understand that she's in a classroom of kids like her. And does she spend her time thinking about them and what they look like and how they dress and what their hair looks like and have they got nail varnish on or not?
Yeah.
Or what? No, she doesn't. She's too busy thinking of herself. The same as they are. They're all self-centered teenagers. Yeah. They don't give a hoot. They might go, oh, she's left. Yeah, what was I thinking? Oh, yeah. It's football last night. Yeah. They don't give a hoot. They really don't give a hoot. Yeah. And if she understands that, she go like, yeah, okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, we had that conversation. I can't remember if it was the last session or the one before. And it's quite like, I don't want to say frustrating, but like I say, she knows all of this, and you know, you can have conversations. I do think sometimes she does sometimes say what she thinks you want to hear as well. So I think sometimes you don't always get the full picture. I'll say, you know, how's your week been? Oh yeah, it's been fine. And then when you do a little bit more digging, or when a mum comes in, and you know, then you get a bit, well, she didn't go into school on Monday, and you know, she had a really bad day, and then it kind of all starts to come out then. So I think there's an element of people pleasing, possibly.
Yes. Okay. So do we need to do anything else for that anxiety before she leaves the classroom?
You could, I think you're saying about the funny bit, Joe. You could say, you know, okay, so if people said, where have you been? Think of some really 10 funny things that you could answer back to. You know, I've just gone and checked my lottery ticket. I've just popped down to the shop, or just as a bit of a play on words between you and her, come up with some to I'm saying dumb the situation down, but you know, put a bit of a twist on it.
Yeah, I like that, because that'll be
you come up with 10 things and she comes up with 10 things, or something. You see, the wackier, the funnier, the better.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that'll be funny. It's just anything to kind of flip that thinking, isn't it? And okay, yeah, I've got some good ideas there. Thank you.
Okay, so the next issue is going to the shops, which we've done a bit of work on already. Do you need some more on that, Jay?
No, well, I think I've got quite a few to give a go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I think with the both of those, have you done goals with her?
Yeah, we've done goals. So it started off as to have a full 5 days at school, which obviously she's still working towards. The other one was to go shopping with mom, and that we kind of had a few running at the same time. And then the other one was to reduce the amount of time she was spending on social media, which she said she has done because she's at school for a lot of the time now. She's not sitting at home on social media all day. So that's kind of what we've been working towards.
So is it time to introduce some more goals, refresh those goals, but also talk her through the planning process?
What do you mean by that? Sorry.
Yes. So you want her to be able to use goals and so forth later in life for herself. Yeah. So if she understands how to plan to achieve a goal, then she can do that.
Right. Okay.
So you talk her through in fairly close detail. This is how you create a plan. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could talk to her about doing bullet points. You could talk to her about doing mind mapping, which is a great tool for anything that you have going wrong in your life. Just do a mind map, so sort it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think giving her some of those tools might allow her to then start developing some things of her own as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds good.
Is this the NLP for Kids goal setting ideas and strategies, or is
Yes, you've got the goals in the NLP for Kids. Yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't talk about planning, but I'm sure you guys all know how to make a plan. Yeah.
Yeah, I do think I get the impression that mum does sometimes, like, and again, because she wants to be supportive and she wants to help her child, maybe she's sometimes sweeping in and saving the day, and so therefore, you know, those problem solving skills and independence, maybe she's depending on mum for quite a lot there, so that could be really useful.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when you're mind mapping, actually getting her to make some stupid suggestions is the right thing to do, for her to understand that they're actually not helpful suggestions. Yeah. So we all want to be a millionaire tomorrow, but is that practical? How many of us are going to achieve that overnight? It's not going to happen. Yeah. Sadly. So talk to her about how you create a reasonable goal, how you test a goal, and then how you put a plan in place and actually make it a successful plan. So it needs to be sensible steps, sensible time frame, it needs to be meaningful plan, and just talk her through, this is how you make a plan. Yeah.
Yeah, that all sounds good.
Okay. Have you talked to her about toxic words?
No, I haven't done that with her actually.
I love.
Maybe mom as well.
Yeah.
Because you were saying she says but quite a lot.
Yes.
So I can't remember whether the try exercise was something I did in NLP or whether it's something I learned somewhere else. So
no, the try. Yeah, just try with the door. I do that in the communication model, the language. Yeah.
Yes. I think it's an excellent exercise.
It's so powerful. It's so powerful.
It is. Are you familiar with that, Jo?
Yes. Yeah, I haven't done that with her, but yeah, that's something that I could do.
Do you ever get it not working?
I've had it not work before.
I had one the other day. It was like, oh, God. Well, normally, most children.
Okay. And I did at the end of the last session when I kind of sorry to drop my pen. When I kind of said to mom, you know, about being mindful of the language and, you know, talking about what we want rather than what we don't want. I did kind of say to the daughter, I said, you know, you're the only person that can change this. This has got to come from you. And kind of was a bit more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Forthright.
Yeah, a bit more like, come on, you've got to do this now. Like, you know, you've got all these tools. This is over to you. This can only come from you. So I don't know. Obviously, I'm seeing her tomorrow, so we'll see how much of that she's taken on board. But yeah, I feel like she needs a bit of like, you know, a bit of grit to sort of move forward with now.
I think you can say that to her. Yeah.
I feel
I've
like
had that before as well, when I've just had to get to that point where I've done all these sessions and had to say, look, giving you like you can take a horse to water and you can't make it drink, sort of thing, isn't it? And it's where it's hard, isn't it? Sometimes they're not quite ready. I think I said that, and then they did move forward quite a lot in the next couple of sessions, and then they cancelled. It was almost like they weren't quite ready to take that leap. They didn't want to do it deep down.
Yeah, and I feel like, because I've worked with her for quite a few sessions now, that relationship is there. So I feel like she can kind of take that from me, whereas I, you know, maybe not from somebody else, but I feel like it was at that point where me and her mom were a bit like, right, come on now.
Yeah.
You've got everything. This is now what you need to be doing.
Do you think that she'd be comfortable with your relationship continuing as well, though? And is that a kind of part of it or not?
Well, I don't know, because obviously they will have had 10 sessions by the time that the ones that they've paid for have been done, and I haven't had that conversation with her mom yet of what they're planning to do after those 10 sessions, whether they want to carry on. Obviously it's cost as well, isn't it? So I don't know what the plan is. I will have to have a conversation with her mom over the next week or so.
Sounds like you've had a big impact, though.
Yeah, well done, Jo.
I hope so.
Well
but you know, when you just feel like you're a bit stuck.
Yeah. No, you've done, and I think it is just to spell it out, literally inform. This is how she's progressed since working with you, and it's been a massive milestone. You know, you could be still working with somebody who's not at school. You know, she's actually going to school, and so I think just to actually say it up front and say the obvious of what's happened and the progress and how fantastic progress is, but you know, it's got to continue.
Maybe once I've done this list of achievements with her tomorrow, I could put it on some kind of certificate for her.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah.
And for her so she can put that on her wall or put it wherever, and just to remind her every day of how far she's come and what she's now able to do. Because that might be a reminder for mom as well.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
So
it might be like, sorry, you just made me think, Jo, when you were just speaking then and sort of talking about how far she's come. You know, I never remember what this technique is called. The one where you talk about, you know, like if you've got a child that's a bit going off the tracks, and you would talk about what would your life be like if you carry on. Yes, that's the one. The path of life. So almost like, but in a positive respect, almost like looking at it as a timeline. And I'm sorry, I know I've jumped in late, so you might have already talked about this, so sorry if you have. But
you started talking, I was like, oh, hi Georgia.
But just the like, you could start it off in a positive way. So you could start off with like at the bottom of the path of life, at the start of when she's come to you and had all these problems, but now she's doing this, and then in the future she's got these goals, so she should be here, and then in the end, what's that going to get her to? Like what ultimately will happen. And I don't know if it's a bit twisting the knife and a bit negative if you do if you don't try and reach these goals and you don't kind of carry on that path, and you start to revert back to, you know, not carrying on the work that we've looked at, you know, where can this be, and where do you want to be? But you, like you said, maybe some other affirmations or other things that can, in the morning, she can be kind of telling herself and looking at these goals, and I've got to get there to try and keep on this positive projected path sort of thing.
Yeah, I really like that. Yeah,
that's nice. I've done have you seen that best possible life visualization exercise?
No.
So it's quite similar, but it just doesn't have the visual, so I could kind of do it in that sense and kind of reinforce that. But so there's 3 sections. You've got personal life, like education and, you know, like job, you know, career and all that kind of thing, and relationships. And for each section, so say if they did the relationships, when they have a minute to visualize their absolute ideal perfect life, how it would be. They can go as far as they want, so they can do it just from like right now, or they could like go into the future, like when they're an adult. And so they spend a minute visualizing if everything was exactly how they wanted it to be, and then they have 5 minutes then for you to tell you what they thought about, and I usually write it down as they're talking, and you have to use the whole 5 minutes. So if it gets like 3 minutes and they kind of go, and that's it, and you're like, okay, you've still got 2 minutes, what else, and they kind of keep telling you, and you do it for each section. And then what I say to them is, you know, you could choose a section each night and just spend a couple of minutes before you go to sleep visualizing that life, how you want it to be. And quite often there'll be things that come up in those sections which they can do something about now. So we'll say, okay, you said you want to learn how to play the violin. Well, is there any way that, you know, do they do any clubs at school where you could, do you know what, that might be a bit of a silly example, but there might be some things where you think, oh, well, couldn't you do something about that now? And they're like, oh yeah, actually I could. And I suppose it's that whole thing of, you know, thinking of what you do want rather than what you don't want, helping you move towards that. So I've done that with her.
That's lovely.
But then, yeah, maybe that's quite nice. Maybe we could list the achievements and then plot them on a path.
Yeah.
And then, right, okay, so what's going to come next? And then what after that? And then what after that?
Yeah.
That's a nice idea. I like that.
What do you call that process?
It's called, is it Best Possible Life or Best Possible Self? And there's a template for it on Therapist Aid.
Okay.
What, sorry, therapy? What?
Therapist Aid. There's quite a lot on there, which is quite useful.
Oh, great, thank you.
I've forgotten about that place as a resource centre. Thanks for the reminder.
That's all right.
So is there something, or is there anything we can give that's going to help mum in her struggles of intervening when she doesn't need to?
Yeah.
So she's unsure of when to push. We need to teach her that. We need her to learn how quickly to give in and not give in. Is there anything we can do for mum?
This is where I'm stuck.
Almost like it's almost like just handling the negotiations, isn't it? Like, I think if her daughter's going to be able to give her really significant reasons why, or maybe like sitting with her daughter and working it out, almost like a what would be acceptable to, that would mean what would we accept as good reasons why you wouldn't go to school, and what would we not accept, almost.
Yeah.
And kind of like almost have that written out, so that if she's going to come and go, oh, this and all that, and it's like a bit, it's more on the, you know, that's not an acceptable sort of thing. I don't know if like doing something like that in almost kind of setting some ground, like almost setting ground rules that are visible ground rules of like this, you know, you've got to accept, and trying to get her to accept that sometimes, you know, you have a bit of a headache or you don't feel particularly great, but you go to work anyway and get through it.
Yeah.
Or a day when it's really not going to be good for her to go in, and she knows, do you know what I mean? I don't know if there's like a
contract between mother and daughter. What's acceptable?
Almost something, yeah, almost something so that it helps the mum as well to know when to push and go, no,
Yeah.
look, this is where we are and you need to go to school. But I don't know if having something like that down to a clever child is going to go, actually, no, I'm here, because they know that's like a,
yeah.
I'm not sure how helpful that would be.
She's very bright. She's very, very bright. I'm just, from you just saying that, Georgia, I'm just wondering whether like they could, and I don't know how useful this would be when she's really in a bad place and worked up, and, you know, because, you know, when it's almost like they've gone past that point of being able to use the strategies, and, you know, but if they could kind of catch it before it gets to that point, maybe having some kind of, rather than like a contract, like a checklist of, right, okay, have you tried this? Have you done this strategy?
Yeah.
Have you, you know, so it's kind of like you have to go through those steps of trying the things that can help before you then say, okay, what if,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
A checklist, like a
Yeah, like a ticket. You could almost have it
Yeah.
laminated and have a board pen, you know, have
Yeah.
you done this, have you done that?
It's only you don't try them.
No,
Yeah.
you're doing, you're not trying,
Sorry,
you're doing.
yeah.
Do this, do that, do
Sorry,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so easy, isn't it?
Yeah,
I know. I've
totally
stopped
is.
myself any word trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would actually be quite a good tool to give to mum. So at the same time as
Yeah.
the certificate for tea, you've got this thing, this work list to give to mum that says, have you tried each of these things? Here are some other things, or whatever it is. So you've got something to give to both of them when they're done. Yeah.
And would that be that checklist? Would I put that together with her and her mum there, or would I just do it, or what do you think?
I would do it with tea and present it to mum.
Okay, yeah. Okay. That's a good idea. I'm just wondering whether if I did do a session with mum, I just wrote down, I think it was as Georgia was talking about the modelling. I think you mentioned it, Georgia, about like something that I've done with parents before, which I haven't done with her, is talking about times when they felt anxious or when something hasn't gone well for them, and how they've got through it, and just kind of modelling that, you know, it's normal and it's okay for you to have these feelings, and you know, everybody feels anxious, or everybody feels worried or whatever at different times, but this is how we've dealt with it, and this is how we've gone through it, and everything was actually okay in the end. And sort of coaching her on how to talk about things like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the communication model, to talk to her about that might enlighten her.
Yeah.
The mum.
Yeah.
I think, Jo, like you're saying, like if you can kind of break down an example of when the mum's felt anxious and how she's come out the other end, you can then sort of say, you know, there were steps that you took to get from A to B, and if your daughter gets like halfway and then you help her to get to B, when she's at school and when she's out at work or when she's at the shops with her friends, she's not going to be able to do it herself. So you need to kind of let her, almost give her time, or almost like maybe just count to 10 before you jump in, so it gives you a bit of time to just stop and pause and think.
Can you just, could you say something like, Jo, like it's empowerment, like say if my daughter was saying, what's 1 and 1, and I say 2, what's 1 and 1? 2. Yeah, mum, what's 1 and 1? It's 2. What's 1 and 1? What do you think it should be? And then it's the empowerment of that person finding out that, isn't it, answering it for themselves, and that will need to empower her to find out and sort that out herself. Mum isn't going to be there to rescue her all the time.
Yeah.
So,
and this mum,
rather than jumping in and saving her, the mum might have to just hold back, where it would be really difficult because she wants to help. It's in natural instinct, but to give her empowerment to make her that decision.
And this was something that came up in a recent session. So obviously T wants mum to be with her quite a lot of the time. So like, you know, when we talked about going shopping and things like that, it's always with mum, you know, she wants to do it with mum and all of this. And mum actually said to me, you know, I don't know if it's actually the best thing for me to be there, because then it's almost like it's like almost giving her permission to have these anxious feelings. So she did say, you know, I do wonder if maybe if she went with her friends or with another family member, she might still feel anxious, but she'll kind of mask it and get through it, and then afterwards she'll think, oh well, I've done it. Whereas when mum's there, it's almost like she feels like she can have, you know, sort of cry and shake and all of this.
She has the permission to do so. With her mum there.
So I did say, you know, is there another family member that she feels safe with, but then maybe she might have a bit more success with if she went and did the shopping with. But then her mum said, her mum then said, oh wow, we did try that with, I don't know if it's her auntie or something, to go to the sixth form open evening, and this was in front of T as well. She said this, and I got a text message saying, oh, it's not gone well, you know, there's lots of people here, and and so then it's kind of reinforcing that, oh, when I'm not there, it's not okay, sort of thing.
Well, it was okay. Nothing disastrous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's go on the comfort zone thing.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, yes. I write that down. So going with another family member.
And the whole sort of checklist is so good as well, because that's her taking responsibility, isn't it? As well, her mum directing her to that potentially as well.
Yeah.
Look at that list, and then also that reinforces what you were saying about her actually using these techniques you've been given, because it's then like it's in her brain perhaps as a list of things she's returning to.
Yeah.
And getting into that habit of going back and using them.
And then next time, or can you get another couple of steps down that list, you know,
Yeah.
just trying to improve it each time. Yes. I feel like
And
I've
were
got
you
Everything seems to
saying,
be interlinking, all your ideas.
Mm.
It's good.
were you saying that, Joe, earlier, were you saying that you're not concerned really, but do you think that you feel like she's a little bit reliant on coming to you, and she's built up a bit of obviously a connection with you? Was that what you were saying, or did I get the wrong end of the stick?
No, so we've got really good rapport. Like, she, you know, she's comfortable, she will talk to me, you know, about things that have happened, and, you know, even if initially she's like, oh yeah, it's been a really, really good week, and then like slowly it will start to come out throughout the session, if there's been any wobbles. But I wouldn't say she's sort of reliant on me.
Yeah.
I must have something in my head then that I was going to say, and I can't remember what it was. It's gone.
I was just thinking that with someone like that, where you've got loads of like goals with her and lots of things that she wants to do and get places to get to, that if you do get to a point where you finish working with her, it'd be quite just a nice suggestion that she comes back, like, or encourage, like, with maybe a month, that she comes back after maybe 3 months, and then she comes back after another 6 months, or this and that, and like she can sort of check in, and again you can go, wow, you've like gone from here to here, and then these are some like other extra bits you can put in, and you know, and just she knows that she'll come back and can kind of like show you what she's sort of like achieved, and you can kind of keep an eye on that as well.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. And so that's what just popped into my head, was about talking about her achievements. So the first time she ever came to see me, her mum said she basically had to drag her. Like, her mum was like, she's coming to see you. She's coming, you know, you're going to go see this lady because, you know, I don't know what else to do. You need some help. And she really didn't want to go. So that's another thing. Like, now she looks forward to the sessions. Like, she willingly comes. That's kind of like going from the very beginning of when we first started working together. Of like, and I suppose that's a time when she's put herself through that discomfort to then get the results in the end, isn't it? That we could really emphasize on. I feel like that's going to be the most powerful thing for her at the moment, is kind of giving her the proof that getting herself through that discomfort it gets results, and everything is okay in the end.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, that's a really powerful message to give a 15-year-old young girl, isn't it? Like, you've got this. Like, you haven't just got it, you've really got it, you know? And you can do whatever you want to do. Like, you want to be a brain surgeon, crack on, you can do that, you know. No worries, you know. And
just thinking about that comfort zone circle, we could almost do the achievements and the comfort zone circle at the same time. And I could be like, okay, so before you came to see me, where would you put coming to see me on the comfort zone circle? And she would put it probably way on the outside. Okay, do that on that one. Now, where would you put it on this one, on the new one? And showing how much everything's moved. That visual, isn't it, of like, wow, it used to be over there and now it's in here. That might be quite nice.
Well, that also gives a very clear demonstration as to how it works. How she's grown that circle so much over a relatively short period of time by doing some relatively simple things. And if she wants it to keep on growing, then she's got to keep on doing those things. And it's not like go and walk on the moon. It's like go paddleboarding. Go and ride a pony. Go shopping at the Brent Cross Centre. Whatever it is, those things are just still baby steps, but they're all still growing that circle.
I feel like I've got a good plan coming together here.
Another
Yeah.
8 sessions.
So is there anything more anybody would like to add? Anything more you'd like us to cover, Joe, or are we done?
I would just like to thank you all for all your ideas. They're amazing, and I can't
No,
wait
it's
to
been
try
a
them
pleasure.
out.
Anybody else have any questions? I didn't, because we were in mid-conversation, I didn't ask anybody if we were okay to record this session, but it has been recorded and you probably had a warning come up at your end. Anybody have an issue with that?
No.
Everybody's fine. Okay, all right, cool. Thank you. So I'll pass it on to Gemma, and Gemma will do whatever Gemma does with her videos. Yeah. Excellent. I think we're done.
Oh, thank you, everyone. I'll
Nice
let you
to
know
see
how it
everyone.
Good
goes.
to see everybody. Good to see you all.
Yeah, nice to see you all.
Okay.
Bye.
See you. Bye.